Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March 22nd. Welcome to the 43rd Annual CALLERLAB Convention in Norfolk, Virginia. Today is Tuesday, March 22nd. I'm reading in the wrong order, I think. This is the Plus Interrogation session. I am Michael Maltenfort. I will serve as your moderator and one of the panelists. For this session, our other panelists are Jeannette Staeuble, Beck, and Bill Harrison. We have 4 fascinating Plus calls to talk about. I don't feel like giving much of an introduction. You'll hear more from me in a moment. But we're going to start with Jeannette Staeuble. She has been calling for over 25 years. She's from Zurich, Switzerland, calls mostly mainstream and plus, but started with A1, is an accredited CALLERLAB coach, and has been to every CALLERLAB convention since 2001. So give a big hand for Jeannette.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. The call I'm going to start with is the call Fan at the Top. I think actually we would need dancers here. I think this would be nicer. While we get the dancers, if you look at the definition, I just go shortly through the definition. It says fan at the top, starting formation, ocean wave or two-phased lines. And then the center of the line or wave turns 3/4, while the outside dancer moves forward in a quarter circle. The ending formation is at right angles to the starting formation. Centers remain centers and ends remain ends. And I think on the definition is that the facing couple rule applies. Because like you can do swing through from facing couples, you can also do fan the top from facing couples. So we come to that a bit later on. When I teach fan the top, when it was the call was, as I started dancing, it was in the mainstream program. Then it moved up. I think it moved back. No, it didn't move back again. It just stayed up there. I really loved the call, and I still love it. Unfortunately, it's not anymore in the mainstream, but in the plus, it's fine too. The good thing is the dancers, they know spin the top. So we can easily, the teachers quite easily. Could I have the square heads, whoever you want to decide is? Heads lead right, veer left, bend the line. Past the ocean. So when I actually teach fan the top, I can tell them just you can leave out the first half. It's like the second half of a spin the top when I explain it to them. And the nice thing on fan the top when teaching is, look with whom they're starting it now. Okay? They have all their partners at the hand. So if we do a fan the top please. This means centers turn 3/4, ends move up a quarter. They still have the partner at the hand from an ocean wave. So you can use this in teaching. I think it makes it easier. You start with your partner. In that moment, you end with the same person. So fan the top again. You had the break in between, so the flow is okay. By the way, oops, sorry, didn't want to step on your phone. Boys run. Okay. It doesn't apply if you do it from a two-phase line. And I personally, I'm not using from a two-phase line so often because the problem is, okay, you can fan a top from here. Go fan a top, centers turn 3/4. Important is here that they let go of the hand. Because the centers go 3/4. They actually pass by a person. Please do a wheel around for me so we get the girls in the middle of the two-phase line just for having a nice way of having the other way around. Fan the top again. Centers 3/4, ends move up. So, yeah. Okay, you all have your partners, I guess, now again, right? Okay, bend the line. So if you think about kind of degree of difficulty, what's the easiest way to do fan the top? Give me. Okay, right, exactly. I heard that. Ocean waves, girls in the middle. Boys at the end. So like, if you're doing past the ocean is a nice call before, past the ocean, fan the top. I think it's, right, getting out there from that right and left through, feels good. Another easy application, I like actually the having when I started doing is with the girls in the middle, because it's the easiest way, like we said, for the dancers, because it ends normal, right? Everybody slide through. Touch a quarter and roll. Another way, also for writing choreography, which is nice, if you have a lot of spin the top material, if I'll do everybody box the net, fan the top. What was that actually? Kind of choreography-wise, it was a kind of like a spin the top. It's a helpful hint when writing choreography. Right and left through, for instance, get out. So this is actually the easiest way. On the handout, I have some more calls before and after you can use. Now one of the things to make it more difficult is to have different, like heads, everybody pass through, half tag. Okay. Now we have same sexes together. Right? We have boys together and girls together. If you do a fan the top from here, we get the same thing again. So you can help the dancers with that, but I think this is a bit a more already difficult application. Pass through. Okay. Tag the line. Help me out here. All the way, yes. Face right. Yeah. Bend the line. I just have to look it up because... Okay. And now this is for instance, one of the other things for two-phase line, which I like to do, but let me have how to set it up. Pass through, bend the line, please, for me. Yeah, so I think we have now, slide through. Using it from two-phase line, you can do a right and left through. Right, please, yeah. Via left. Fan the top. Center couples, trade. Fan the top again with the other couple. That's a way of doing it. An important thing is you have to go get the other new person. Okay, bend the line. Now to make it a bit more difficult, you can change the orientation of the call. So let me set it up differently. Everybody pass through, wheel and deal and spread. So okay, pass through, wheel and deal again. So what I'm aiming at is to have right now same sexes, because later on you will see. Zoom. How is that in English? Send us pass through. And now, if I do touch a quarter, what way do you normally would like to work with? The person across, right? But I set it up the way that I have a normal wave to do a fan the top from me. So untouch a quarter for me, please. Untouch a quarter. Okay. Just, yeah. Oh, no. It could do the same thing with single hinge, by the way. I just did it with touch a quarter, right? It doesn't really matter. So, touch a quarter, check a wave, girls in the middle, fan the top, which would make it a little bit more difficult. And getting out, slide through is a different... We can do it from here too. Now it becomes more difficult because the dancers need to realize, because normally when you hear called touch a quarter, what do the dancers expect? Most dancers, like scoot back, like follow your neighbor, like maybe walk in Dutch, whatever. They do not expect to work with the other dancers, to change the orientation. So if you do touch a quarter, fan the top. Most dancers might have difficulty if they do it the first time. Single hinge, boys run. Centers pass through. Left swing through, please. Okay, maybe the other way with a very nice way actually to get in a left-handed wave, fan the top. Girls run. Bend the line, Dixie style to an ocean wave. Fan the top. The boys go 3, girls moving up, which actually is good flow. And the good thing is actually, from a left-hand wave, in my opinion, well, it's the easier way to dance the fan the top with the boys in the middle than with the girls in the middle, because now we have a so-called normal arrangement left-handed wave. Because if I do a recycle for me, please. This works. We have normal couples again. So this is one of the things to make it, ways to make it a little bit more difficult. Using left-handed material. You can make it a bit harder with slide through. Not yet. Left touch a quarter, fan the top, center 3, and move up. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Single hinge, left-handed, sorry for that. Face in, Again. All right. Pass through. Okay, wheel and deal. What I've not started yet, you can do it from facing couples too, right? This is also another way to make it a little bit more difficult. So from facing couples here, girls, fan the top, step to a wave, send a girl 3/4, girl move up. Recycle. Ends cross fold, send girl full fold. Okay, boys, fan the top. Little more. We have quarter tag. Extend. Boys run. I normally try to normalize it as quickly as possible. It's depending on, not for you, I mean for you I could call everything, but if I don't know the dancers, for me it's a key point to quickly get out of a situation which is not so comfortable in something the dancers feel comfortable with. Now if they are slide through, next way I think I would do it from here. Fan the top. Yeah, I am. Right, left through. And you can even do it from here, or even, yeah. But let me do, let's square your sets for a moment, please. Can you square your sets? I just didn't remember who started with whom, so that's the easiest way getting out here for now. I like actually also doing it for the heads. Maybe I will start it up before I do heads fan the top. I make sure they know, like head swing through. But do head swing through. Spin the top for change. Slide through, back away, and they should be at home. It's a module I better remember when I start calling this for dance, especially if I need to know where they are. So there's no side calling good in that moment. So I could do sides. Fan the top, step to a wave, 3/4, move up. Extend, swing through. Okay, let me see. Boys run. Okay, Ferris wheel. Let me see if I get this. You have 3/4 or get home. Easiest way. Okay, 3/3. Doesn't matter. Okay. One of the things I really also like to do if the dancers are good, because the facing couples rules applies, we can do fan the top from facing couples. Now, can we also do a left fan the top? What is the difficult thing on this now? If I do a left fan the top, what I expect the dancers, they step to a left hand wave, but which is the active hand for the fan the top? The center right hand. So this is normally what kills most of the... I mean, you can do it when you know the dancers. If I know the dancers, I do that with them. If I did, for instance, a plus dance, middle, if I really know him, then I can work with them on these kind of things. So please do for me, left. Heads left, fan the top, step to a wave, fan the top, good. Left swing through. Girls run. Bend the line. And we are back to something else. You better know this module before you start calling these things, because if not, you often get into trouble. Another thing, what I liked, it's also, I think it's more difficult, but more of the call before. Let's do it for the sides for a change. Sides past the ocean. Maybe not set it up that way. Let me, because you're good, you already set it up with mixed sexes. We can do follow your neighbor from here, right? It's a new definition, follow your neighbor. Meaning everybody turn with the right hand, get back to a wave, and here, fan the top as good flow. Don't ever think of doing a normal follow your neighbor from parallel waves in a fan the top, because that is clearly overflow. But this way, it's nice being done. Do a single hinge. Girls, you turn back. And yeah, square your sets, because I think that's what I had about fan the top, the ways I would kind of also progress it, build it up. So, yeah, you can. I like the call, so thank you.
So, we're gonna save the questions until the very end. We're gonna make the presentations on the various calls. We definitely want to involve you in the discussion, but save the questions, if you will, till later. Big hand for Jeannette. If any of the do you want dancers to stay up? If any dancers want someone to tag in, want to sit down, that's fine. Or if someone wants to dance. While you're figuring that out, let me introduce our next panelist. This is Don Beck. Don Beck has been dancing since 1958 and calling since 1964. He lives in Martha's Vineyard. He was a contributing editor to the New England Square Dance Caller magazine and has written other things as well, including his well-known book, Out of Sight, on mental image choreography. He has written many calls, including Ferris Wheel, Ping Pong Circulate, and Chain Down the Line. So I leave it to Don. Give him a big hand.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. Those 3 calls, one of them is a plus call, and I figured I should feature that tonight, but I'm not going to. The other thing I might want to mention, if you were reading your program, I'm Rick Hampton, but he couldn't make it, so I found out a week ago that I was doing this presentation. I finished handouts about half an hour ago. I just found 2 typos in them. We will be passing them out afterwards, so you don't have to take notes, but that's where you don't have to look at get ahead of me in the script. And I can't resist one fan the top get out that I like. Heads square through. You know this part of the routine. Heads do a right and left through. No, I mean everybody. Dixie style do an ocean wave. And fan the top. Do an Alaman left. And square your set. If I were to do it with the sides, it wouldn't fit. You got to make sure you got enough room in the hall to do it. And you got to not do the stop and go timing like I did because I used the wrong words. But it happens quickly, and most dancers can get it without thinking about it. I'm going to be working with Dixie Grand today, and the first thing I printed on the handout was the CALLERLAB definition. And the first typo I found is that I have the starting formation, but I forgot to put the action in. So, and there's some discussion. I don't need it. There's some discussion about one of the starting formations I use, and it used to not be technically legal from the CALLERLAB definition, but the CALLERLAB has changed the starting formation. Instead of saying those facing, it says those who can. So anyway, let me tell quickly the definition. Not the way CALLERLAB writes it, but pretty close. Basically what it is, from a whole bunch of formations, what you do is those who can give a right hand by, everybody give a left hand by, pull by, everybody give a right hand pull by, and it pretty quickly, they use a more tactful word than this, but deteriorates to a circle in the process. And what I'm trying to do is that a lot of people don't use it, a lot of sight callers, because they can't see it coming. It's not a simple square through 3/4 Alaman left. But it is, if you know some places to use it from. The most common place that it is used from, I'm going to set up quickly just so you can see it. And I was going to have some pennies, but I forgot to snag the person who was smart enough to bring them. But I want you to look at this number 1 couple and this number 4 couple. And you guys can act transparent, but do your part in dancing. Let's have the head star through. And zoom. So I have matched couples in the front, this corner couple, and our active man is over here, but he's not with his partner. That's the typical place you want to call a Dixie Grand from. Do a Dixie Grand, right pull by, everybody left, everybody right, to a circle, and end with an Alaman left where it usually ends. Promenade home. So again, if you're calling, let's have the head star through. Got a matched couple out here and unmatched here. We want to, if you were going to do a square through 3/4 of the corner, just do a zoom. And now we can call that Dixie Grand. Everybody, not only this guy has a corner in front, everybody is standing in front or in back of their corners, if you remember whichever pair there was. Centers are matched, outsides aren't. Go back and square your set. Let's not go through the whole action. Let me show you another quick way to set that formation up if you're doing this in a teaching situation or you don't want to take the time of Zoom is sort of, what's he setting up? Do a 4 ladies chain. Heads do a right and left through, and star through. Now, those original couples that I asked to designate each other who they were, who were the head couples that I mentioned? They're paired up. The center couples are paired up. And who were the corners for those people? Everybody's behind. Just this original number 4 couple, raise your hand. Okay, and so you're on the outside standing behind. Yeah, Dixie Grand. We'll see if it works. Right, everybody left, everybody right. Alaman left. Shorter promenade home. So that's, again, the most commonly used, I think, in sight callers. You should be able to, once you've matched partners in corners, put the matched couple inside, get them in this couple in front of their corner, and call a Dixie Grand. Another quick variation, heads star through, zoom, centers right and left through, call, it's a basic same thing, but a lot of people do it if you're not standing in front of their corner. Centers square through, 3 hands, but on the 3rd hand start a Dixie Grand. Centers right, everybody left, everybody right. Alamand, and remake the square. Get home as quickly as you can here. Save a little time. A way that's... Let's have heads lead right and circle to a line. From 0 lines, do a... How do I want to get you there? Star through, pass through, trade by, right and left through. From this formation, I could easily do a pass through, trade by, and another pass through to the corner, or another star through to 0 lines. A lot of people use this as an 8-chain 3 to an Alaman left. From here, you can also do a Dixie Grand to an Alaman left. This is everybody. Those who can right pull by is everybody in this case. Everybody Dixie Grand, right pull by, left pull by, right. Alaman left your corner and back up slightly. The thing about this, the difference between this and an 8-chain 3 is there's no courtesy turn on the end. Come to think of it, that's not a big difference, is it? Not that many people courtesy turn anymore. Does everybody see how we set that up? Basically, 0 lines and took the active guy from the end and brought him way over to the other side on the outside. And then an 8-chain 3 or Dixie Grand brought him right back. This is one that not too many people use, but I think it's pretty easy to set up for sight caller. Let's have the heads pair off. I'm cheating here, but this saves time. 0 box, pass through, Dixie Grand. Alaman left and promenade home. You can substitute that for an Alaman left. It's just a pass through. It's pretty quick. It's pretty easy to see. The answers aren't expecting it. But the main thing is, well, there are 2 things. One is the main thing is as variety. Instead of doing 20 Alaman lefts, you'll do 10 of those and 10 Dixie Grands. The other thing, let's have the heads pair off, pass through. This is that case where those who can, the centers, it's obvious they're facing. The outsides are not facing per the old definition, but they can. And notice without a trouble, they faced in and did a Dixie Grand. Go back and swear your set. Heads pair off, star through. Get them to that same position. This is a corner line. Get them to that same position, but more smoothly and fewer mistakes on the dancer's part. Square through, everybody, 4 hands. Do a Dixie Grand. They've all got the right hand. The body flows there. Alaman left and promenade home. So again, that's a corner line, square through, 4, which is the same as 0 box star through or 0 box pass through. Page 2. Let's have the head start through and pass through. Do a right and left through and pass through. Freeze there, so we got a trade by formation. We could easily have the centers pass through twice to get to that previous place. We could have the outsides partner trade so they're ready to pass through with the others. And there's a call that covers most of that, and that's a trade by. Do a trade by. Oh, wait a minute. Go back. Instead of a trade by pass through, we can do a Dixie Grand. Everybody, right hand pull by, left hand pull by, right pull by, Alaman left your corner and come back promenade. Not your corner? Told you I haven't had time to proofread this. Did I get a 4 ladies out or just 2? Okay. So the way you set that up is do a 4 ladies chain. don't bother. But if you move your checkers, you will be able to find that you can get a trade by formation and go to a Dixie Grand from that. And again, it has the surprise of these outside facing, figuring out they can do it. Now the question is, did I write it wrong or was I not paying attention to my notes? Trade by Susan. I didn't. Oh, I don't know. Doesn't matter. You know that one doesn't work. Figure it out. But the fact you can do it from a trade by formation adds some variety. Here's one I like. Head star through. Do a right and left through. Again, we could pass through to a 0 box. Everybody double pass through and do a Dixie Grand. Alaman left and promenade home. So it's a position that sight callers can get to easily, pass through to a 0 box, call a double pass through, and a Dixie Grand. And everybody's sort of taken by surprise because it wasn't a square through 3/4. I have 2 minutes left. It wasn't. Head start through. Do a right and left through. This is where we started. It's not a box. It's a double formation. Okay. Oh, no. Double pass through. Do it again. Dixie Grand. I should have called it a little earlier to see it coming. Take the 3rd one and promenade home. There's that, or the 5th one, rather. Square your set. One that a lot of callers used way back when, classically, typically, I can't cite to it, but I can call the formation. Let's have the heads pass through, separate around 1 to a line, forward and back, join 8 hands, circle to the left, reverse single file to the right, reverse circle left, right, single file. All the men do a U-turn back and do a Dixie Grand, and it's just some can start, everybody can finish, and Alaman left, and promenade home. There's also a way to set it up so just the women U-turn back and make it work, but I didn't have enough time last night. One that I use frequently, join hands, circle left. Easy, get the dancers through. Do an Alaman left for an Alaman thar. Forward 2 and make a star. Freeze there for a second because I want to talk for a second. There's the next typo here. I'm about to say shoot the star for a brand new thar. And the text says shoot the star for a brand new than. Damn spell checkers. Anyway, back the star. Back it up. Shoot the star for a brand new thar. Oh, I guess that's okay. When they're back with their partner, common position, shoot the star, but go full around to the corner. Do a Dixie Grand. Alaman left. Promenade home. I call that... Oh. Yeah. And, you're going towards your corner with the right hand. What else are you going to do? No, I thought I called it. I guess you all anticipated nicely. But that's a formation we get into frequently. We can just add that, go full around to the corner with a Dixie Grand. I've got a couple singing call figures in here you can do. I got which I won't do because I'm running out of time. Just a couple of quick variations. You can do it a left Dixie Grand if you want to play. Let's have the head star through, box the gnat. This is a quirky way of setting up, the quickest I could do. Square through 3/4 while the side sachet. Everybody left Dixie Grand. Left pull by, right pull by, left pull by. Do a right and left grand. And another formation you can do it from that you can get into and challenge, but you can get in and out quickly. Anyway, let's have the 4 ladies chain. Heads promenade half. Wait till the ladies finish chaining. Heads lead to the right. Veer to the left. All tag the line and face in. Should I add the word carefully? Slide through. Nicely done. So it's a magic column, and in C1 you can play with that. But from here anyway, notice some are facing, some aren't. Dixie Grand, those facing right, everybody left, everybody right. Alaman left and come back home. But I've run out of time. 4 ladies chain. This is just the way I set it up, and it's in the notes. But heads promenade half. Lead right, veer left. Tag the line, face in. I got girl, boy, boy, girl lines. Everybody's facing same sex. Boys have to quarter right, girls have to quarter left, and they did reasonably well. It's awkward for the girls because they have to back up to hitch hands. Slide through. And notice it's called a magic column, and plus you don't have to know that, but we have 4 people facing and 4 people not. Dixie Grand, those who can right, everybody left, everybody right. Alaman left. And thank you guys. Thank you partners, thank your corners, thank them.
Dancers, if you'd like to have a break, someone I'm sure will fill in for you, but we do want to keep a square. So, big hand for Dawn. And again, if you didn't hear me say this earlier, we do want to involve you in the discussion and talk about your comments and questions, but we're going to save all of those till the end. We're going to pass. We got handouts actually for both Fan the Top and for Dixie Grand. We'll just leave them at the end for everyone to pick up. Our next panelist is Bill Harrison. Bill Harrison has been calling since 1970. Is currently on the Board of Governors. Is chair of the Advanced Committee and is just an all-around good guy. Take it, Bill.
All right, good. Hey, is it possible we can get 3 more people to make up a good square for me? Good. All right. Okay. It's what we're supposed to do is kind of like tell you how we teach the call that we're presenting. Mine happens to be load the boat. And so what I normally do is I take the square and I break them into 2 couples. Can you guys do that real quick? I don't care. It's the decision factor that's hard. Now, just circle left a quarter. Okay, and there's our 2 couples. And I'll make sure that they're separated. If you guys move down that way a little bit so you don't confuse yourself. Okay, and what I do here is I teach the center's part of load the boat, which is 2 couples. Okay, that's just how I start. Okay, so have everybody pass through and do a U-turn back. And this is the place that we normally want to do the center's part of load the boat. Okay, so you ask them to pass through, do that. Turn your back away from the person next to you. Hold hands. I always try to emphasize holding hands here. Make that connection. Okay? They partner trade, and they pass through, and that's the end of it. Okay? Good. Everybody do a U-turn back again. And I say do the center's part of load the boat. They pass through. Turn your back away from this group of 4. Partner trade, and you pass through, and we're finished. Okay? Everybody do a partner trade. Good. So once they understand that and they've learned the centers part of load the boat, then I have the squares get together, because we all know the ends part is very easy. So square your sets and make a full square. Okay? Very good. Yep, there you go. Okay? So just head square through 4. Great. And slide through. So here's where I teach the ends part. All right? And I walk the ends. And I tell the ends that they must pass by 3 people. And turning the corner is part of getting to face somebody in order to pass them by. And then after you pass the third person, you're going to face into the very center of the total square. So I break it down into the 4 parts that we have. So I'll ask the ends to pass by each other. That's 1, right there. That's the first part. I said, in order to do the second part, there you go, great. In order to do the second part, you have to turn the corner and look at somebody new. Do that. And then you pass them by. And this is the halfway mark. In order to do the third part, you have to turn the corner. Look at this person, pass them by, and then you face in. And you're done. So now I ask the center people to do the centers part of load the boat. Go. Which they already know how to do that because we did it in the 2 couple part. Okay? And we're finished. Okay? Slide through. I then walk that again with the outside people and have them do their thing, okay? So just the ends load the boat. Pass 1, turn the corner, look at number 2, pass 2. Turn the corner, look at number 3, pass and face in. All the centers do the centers part of load the boat. There we go. Great, fantastic. Okay, all the centers face in, I think you're home. Is that right? Good. Beautiful. So after I get them learning that, I like to add some variety. I'm a believer that in adding some variety, if you can have same sex do a part of a call, your tendency of being successful is extremely high. So heads pass through, and I'm not concerning about resolving. Separate, go around 1, make a line, everybody pass through, wheel and deal, and make a spread. So in adding some variety to the call load the boat, I know that the end dancers are going to be a lot more successful at doing their part of the call than the center 4. So I shoot to add the variety for the ends. And I know that they're going to be successful because 50% of them have been in that spot. It's not a tough place to be. Just the ends load the boat. That's the girls. I'll have the centers do something different. I'll have the centers square through 2. And so I've added some variety without really being difficult. Pass through. Everybody face in. All the ends load the boat. The center 4 pass the ocean. Everybody extend, scoot back, and all the boys run around the girls. Great. Everybody do a single circle, make a wave. And all the boys trade and do a grand sling through. Everybody pass through. Bend the line. Pass the ocean. Fan the top. Pass through. Wheel and deal. Centers pass through. Pass the ocean. The very center 4, swing through. What I've done here is I've kind of trained them already to learn how to pass through from ocean waves. That was my goal. I'm not sure if you picked up on it, but that's where I was headed. Because I want to add a little variety to my same load the boat. The center 4 people recycle. All the ends load the boat. Pass by 3. That's what I'll say. Now the 4 in the middle pass the ocean. Extend. Once again, my degree of difficulty went up a little bit by having the ends in a little mini wave. But I made sure that they could pass through from that mini wave or any wave first, just by dancing them. Okay? Swing through. All the boys run. Great. Bend the line. Pass through, wheel and deal. Make it a spread. Everybody pass through, wheel and deal. All the girls square through 3. Put centers in between the boys. Cast off 3/4. So once again, my variety is a lot with the ends, but I'm still working the center 4 people and doing other things. Still marketing load the boat. All the ends load the boat. Move forward by 3. There's 1. Here comes 2. Here comes 3. The 4 in the middle square through 3. So with my help, which didn't take a lot to do, I've now expanded my load the boat. Using same sex, I'm successful. I'm going to be. They're going to be successful. Okay? Touch 1/4. Good. All the boys trade. All the boys run. Bend the line. Pass through, wheel and deal. Make it a spread. Pass through again, wheel and deal. Square through 3. Put centers in. Cast off 3/4. If your group's progressing really, really well, and you have a confidence factor where you can get the 4 people in the center right now to do the center's part of load the boat, you could have the total load the boat called right now. You could. Okay? Let's just see what happens. Load the boat. Go. So I'm taking a little step further now and starting to activate the center people. Okay? The center one's cloverleaf. The others come in. Pass through. Touch 1/4. Centers trade. Recycle. I think they're getting really confident now. Pass through. Do a U-turn back. I've explained earlier when I did the 2 couples that they could do 2 couples and do the center's part of load the boat. I can say, hey, work on each side of 4 and do the center's part of load the boat, and I've set them up in a normal situation where we call load the boat for the center people all the time. Do the center's part of load the boat. Very good. Now I can take it a step further and have the ends load the boat. Go. How many you got to pass? I'll ask them. They'll say 3. Good. All the centers trade. Spread. Perfect. Got lines again. Okay. Everybody do a single circle, make a wave. The very center 2 boys trade. The same 2 boys run right. Good. The same 4 wheel and deal. In the middle. There you go. Good. The same 4 pass through and do a U-turn back. It looks different, but we've been here before. Built our way right up to this. Everybody load the boat. So the ends have this little mini wave looking thing. They feel like they're doing something totally different. It's the feel. And we have that. Once you get to the point where you think you might want to, if you ever want to, progress a little further with this, you can have everybody pass the ocean. We already understand how to do the wave ends. So the center people are the only ones we really have to worry about. So I would say rear back a little bit and everybody load the boat. Centers stay in the middle. That's the kind of wording I would use. So I brought the degree of difficulty up just a little bit more. Okay? Right and left through. Veer left. Couples circulate. I'm almost done. You're doing well. Bend the line. Pass through. Wheel and deal. Oh, what do I want to do here? Centers pass through. Everybody slide through. The center of 4, single circle. Make a wave. Fan the top. And swing through. Okay? This is a higher degree of doing load the boat. Much higher. But the ends are still standard from what we normally do. Okay? And the center 4, they're standard. If they reared back a little bit in the center, you'll see that that's the group that you're used to doing that. So the 4 people in the middle, I'll say rear back a little bit. You're the 4s in the middle. Everybody load the boat. Go. It's a quick touch on the outside. Boom. Make that trade. Come on. Pass through there in the middle and you're all done. Okay? It looks different when you're finished, but that's okay. Okay? The center couples as a couple. Go left around 1. Squeeze in and make a line. Around 1. There you go. Great. Star through. Slide through. back away. I'm not sure if you have your partners or whatever, but anyhow, that's the end of it. Good. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for give a hand to the dancers. We're going to need some more dancers, but they may want to sit out. I don't know. You're welcome to stay up. We're going to need another square. There's a lot of choreography here. So, and another hand for Bill. Great job. So I'm Michael Maltenfort. I've been dancing since 1985. I've been calling since 2002. And we're going to talk a little bit about roll. And roll is a wonderful call because it's a suffix call. It has to follow something, and it uses whatever comes before it, as I'm sure you're aware. But it's unusual that way. At the mainstream program, there's also sweep a quarter, which depends on the action of the previous call. And at the mainstream and plus program, basic mainstream and plus programs, those are sort of the only such calls. You could argue that there's anything in spread because it's written as anything and something, but spread doesn't really take the action of the previous call into account in terms of how it's defined. We'll start dancing in just a second, but before we do that, I just want to say a couple general things about how you may want to talk to your dancers about, how you may want to think about it. One of the problems when dancers first learn the call roll is if callers don't tell them, drop hands of the person who's next to you, because since they're rolling individually, that's just a common mistake that new dancers may make. And obviously, in place, you're going to be making that extra turning motion in the direction in which you are turning. There's something that even experienced dancers will sometimes have never learned or otherwise may have forgotten, which is that you are able to roll based on the motion as you finished the call. So from facing couples, swing through, everyone can roll even though the resulting centers are the only ones who have motion at the end of the call. Or a more extreme example, spin chain through, everyone can roll. And even though a lot of people will roll long after everyone else has rolled. But that's one of those oddities in terms of how the call is defined that not everyone is remembering, may need a little bit of a reminder for your dancers. Good to keep in mind. And also, there's sometimes a tendency to roll even if you can't, and part of the definition of the call is you roll if you have turning motion. So trade, buy, and roll. 4 people, the outsides are rolling, the centers are not. On an actual dance floor, the centers may try to roll. Don't let them, obviously. But one of the points of confusion is we don't have to say trade, buy, ends, roll. That's being nice to the dancers and emphasizing that point. But it's also perfectly proper to say trade, buy, and roll if you dare. If you have a group that is interested in being careful about your definitions. Similarly, ping pong, circulate, and roll, where only the resulting outsides will roll. Also, it does depend on the definition of the call. And one of the ARC decisions that came down was you cannot roll after past the ocean. It feels like you can roll because of how we dance it, but we do need to tell dancers at some point that roll is based on the actual definition of the call, which for past the ocean is you pass through and you face your partner and then you step to a wave. And since that last motion has no turning action, no one can roll. It is also not proper to call roll when no one can roll. So some callers may try to trick you by saying pass the ocean and roll, but that's not appropriate calling because someone should be able to roll. That's part of the definition of the call. Okay, so that's enough preliminaries. Let's have the heads lead right, veer left, couples circulate, bend the line up to the middle and back. So one of the things that roll is useful for is getting into formations and possibly arrangements that are a little less than common. So pass through, and certainly one of the more common ways of using roll, everyone partner trade, roll, right and left grand. And happened very suddenly, But for groups that are especially standard, we had a momentary sashayed situation because the roll gave you a sashayed couple. Partner trade, you're a normal couple, and then the extra roll has you turning an extra quarter. That's a sashayed couple. And if you have a group that you want to do something with, okay, there's plenty of things you can do, or right and left through, and then plenty of other things if you want to play with changing your arrangement in such a simple way. That's sort of a little bit of small potatoes. Let's have the sides lead right. Past the ocean. Fan the top. And circulate. So roll can also be useful if you have a floor that can handle it and getting into some positions that may not be so common or easy to get into. Everyone spin the top and roll. Breathe carefully. It gets really tight in the center. But this is not one of those formations that we tend to see particularly often at the Plus program. So those who are facing pass through, everyone touch a quarter. Okay, very center boys trade, just to have something to do. Fan the top. Centers run. New centers cast off 3/4. Diamonds circulate. Diamonds circulate and roll. Yes, so that roll has the outsides take hands with each other, and that's not so incredibly weird, except the people coming to the center rolling has this, what we might say, 1 high and 4 wide, or maybe it's the other way around, situation where they can do, well, they could, for instance, touch a quarter and don't do it, and we would get some diamonds back. Or they could pass through, go ahead and pass through, and have the very centers pass through, and all of the centers face right. And those facing directly pass through. And all of the boys run around a girl. And okay. I'm going to cheat and just say as couples extend, even though that's advanced, go ahead and do that, because I'm too lazy to figure out what else I want to do from there. And when you're standing with the mic, all of the things that would otherwise occur to you don't come into your head. Couples circulate. Bend the line. Past the ocean. Split circulate and roll. So some people can roll, some people can't. Certainly this is one thing that you want to be rather careful about, because we have something that is now a weird formation. And some people like to play with these T-bone formations. Some people say, absolutely not, we're not going to do this sort of thing in the Plus program. I'll leave that to your judgment in your group as to how to handle that. If you wanted to, for instance, get out of it rather quickly, let's say that those who did not roll trade with each other down the line and roll. So, you know, there are easy ways to get out if that's the sort of thing you want. The center 4 walk and dodge. Okay, right and left through. Fan the top. That ocean wave rule again. Good, grand swing through. Oh, and I shouldn't have said grand swing through, but that's okay. Yeah. Pretending that I'm not going to have a little bit of overflow. On the wave on each side, let's have the centers hinge and roll. So they're sort of off by themselves. They've got no one to hold their hand. Again, this is a rather odd formation. The very centers, by the way, still have left hands with each other. Good. Let's have those who are facing directly pass through. Those same dancers trade down the line with each other. And for instance, for a rather weird application of the facing couple rules, everyone grand left swing through. So the facing dancers will step to left hands. Everyone who has a left hand goes half by the left. Then everyone goes half by the right. Good. Fan the top. Nice job. Certainly we're pushing the envelope in terms of what we expect dancers to be able to do. And it depends on your group as to whether that's advisable or something that you work into or build up to or such things. Let's see. Don't want to take too much time because I want to leave some time for questions. Let's have the centers run. 3/4 tag the line. Let's have everyone trade and roll. And we have, reach out to your side, we should have waves of 3. Yes, you do. Waves of 3, swing through. By the way, there's a nice get out that you can ask Chris Jensen about because she told me about it, but I didn't write it down, where at this point we could all swing partner and promenade home, which is rather interesting because everyone is directly facing someone. So certainly we can use roll in some rather interesting ways to get formations that we're not used to dancing at the Plus program. So the only other thing I'd like to do is some extensions. Are there 4 dancers who can dance C1? And we can just keep a group of 4. All I want are 4 dancers. We just need a mini square. 4. This may not work if we don't have 4. Okay, let's 4 dancers who can dance advanced. Lovely. Good. That's fine. That's fine. So let's have the 4 of you pass the ocean. So for those, and clearly this is going beyond the Plus program, but one of the interesting ways that you may want to play with using roll is with the advanced concept as couples. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do an as couples call first. So what I'm going to call in a moment is recycle and as couples roll. Recycle ends with, wait, I'm sorry, Simon didn't say I'm a bad caller. When they finish the recycle, everyone will have turning motion towards their right, and they will be as a couple. So as that couple unit can collectively go turn to the right. Let's give it a try. Recycle, and as couples, roll. Rather an odd sort of thing. It sort of feels like a right and left through and go a quarter more, except you're not intimately working with that person. You're not working with them as couples. So there's a whole bunch of things you could do with that. Actually, I don't need the 4 of you any further for that. Thank you very much. But you might want to try to play with that. And thank to all of the dancers. And just a couple other things to think about before I turn it over, and we'll take your questions and we'll want to hear your comments, is you could play with as couples roll after a Ferris wheel. If you are calling at the C1 program, you may want to play with Ferris wheel and tandem roll, or various other things where you have a tandem situation. You can roll just like we have as couples roll. Definitely going out on a limb there, but wanted at least to put it out there for those of you who might be interested. So we'd like to hear your comments. We'd like to hear your questions about any of these calls, and Don has something to say first.
I just was looking at my handout. If anybody wants a corrected version, by the way, the thing I thought was wrong is correct, but I didn't read it right, and it wasn't really what I planned to say, but I got a new couple sequences that do say that. Send me an email at donbeck@donbeck.org, DONBECK.
Okay, so who, and always on the mic and always name and...
Oz from California. I've got a couple of comments, and while I'm doing the first comment, can I have a square come up here, please? Square. So the first comment I want to make is that for Load the Boat, I find that for me personally, and I really try to encourage other dancers as well. If you're doing the outside, hold up your hand and do 1, 2, 3. As you're passing people, optional, tap them on the fingers as you're passing them by. That really does an awful lot to stabilize the square. And in fact, because I dance with the Stanford Quad sometimes, when I do the center part of Load the Boat, I count 1, 2, 3, 4 because they do fractional Load the Boats. And doing the counting off with your fingers really makes that a lot easier. Now, the other thing was that Don Beck didn't actually cover what I consider to be the absolute simplest way of doing a Dixie Grand. So heads, star through, California twirl. Dive through, Dixie Grand. So you can do a dive through or pass to the center from a corner box, zero box, and then do a Dixie Grand from there, and that's the absolute easiest way from my experience. Next.
Lynn Nelson, Kansas City. I wish we had seen more things to do with and roll from Standard Plus, because I think it's very underused. Like, you can Ferris wheel and roll, and you don't have to do it as couples or as tandems. No, that's why I came to this workshop, so you could show me. That's why I was here, but you kept showing me stuff above plus level, and I don't call above plus level. So, but I do, when I'm in Texas, I go to Jerry Story's DBD Plus workshop, and he's shown us some things, so I thought I'd really see a lot more.
Just to clarify, the only things that were not plus were the as couples roll and the tandem roll at the end. So using it as a tool to get into different formations and making dancers aware of who can roll and who can't roll, and yeah. What other comments?
The question I have goes back to the fan the top, and my name's Marshall Flippo. John Jones from Texas, I'm sorry. Back to fan the top, if we have facing couples and we want them to do a fan the top as if they were in a left-handed wave, where do we know and why do we have to say left fan the top? Jeannette, I'm not necessarily asking you particularly. I'm asking the audience. Where is it written that that's what we're supposed to do? It's just a general question that I've seen before. I've danced it before. I've used it. And now I'm confused.
One thing, if you check the facing couple rule at mainstream, I just need to find it. It says a few specific calls can be starting from facing couples. Example includes swing through, spin the top. In these cases, the dancers first step into a momentary right-hand ocean wave and complete the call. Now that comes the point, actually. If the caller directs a left-hand call, for instance, left swing through, dancers first step into a momentary left-hand ocean wave. And that's why I decided it's possible to have a left fan at top. So they do the left-hand wave and then do the fan at top which is a tough part with the right hand. Right? This is why it's much easier to do a left spin the top from facing couples, because they will also do the action with the left hand. In a left fan the top, they step to a left-hand wave and then turn three-quarters with a right hand, because the centers are the ones to do the active part. Let us move up.
But if we have them Dixie, I'm not arguing with you. This is a clarification point that I'm trying to get clarified, because I don't think we have it defined. If we do a Dixie style to an ocean wave, we do not have to say left fan the top.
Yep.
So, yes, it is the point. I'm making it. So why do we have to say, and is it simply because we want them to do the centers to turn by the right first rather than the left? So we say left fan the top?
I say because,
But he said if you just call fan the top, they're going to do a normal fan the top. I understand that. But where is it required that we have to say left fan the top from facing couples? Is it simply because we want them as a caller to do that?
Because
Yes,
it's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not written anywhere.
For me, kind of going from this facing couple rule from the left-hand call, like I normally like to challenge with my callers and caller school saying if there's a call called left spin the top. Because normally from a wave, there's never a call left spin the top. Because you always start the end and the adjacent center dancer. Start the call. Doesn't matter if it's a right-hand wave, you start from the right hand. If it's a left-hand wave, you start from the left hand. But if you have facing couples and you wanted them to do it, that's the way, the moment I would call left spin the top. And I personally use this analogy.
But I understand that. That's written that way.
But the other thing is just kind of a fun variation. It's not something you really should. I think it's allowed.
Tim Mariner, and out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. If I'm in a VAR star, and if I call slip the clutch as a variety, a lot of times we just do Alaman left from there. But as variety, and if we're with a plus group, as we're in a plus room here, I like to do a variation of spin the top from there. And I have to tell them to go to a left hand because I want to do a left action starting rather than a left Alamana, spin the top, and all 8. So I'll say slip the clutch and all 8 left spin the top. Because if I don't say that, technically they'd have to go to a right hand. No. If I just said slip the clutch, I'm standing in front of that person ready to do an Alaman left. Do you think I have a hold of them already? Or when we slip it twice, I can let go of them, right? So, but the idea that I can call, I want to emphasize that they're going to start it with their left, not obviously do something with a right.
Yeah, I would say that something to be aware of is, and this relates also what John was saying, saying the word left is not necessary if you're starting from a left-hand setup, from a left-hand wave. And in a similar way, I think you could argue it perhaps after the slip the clutch if we could agree on the final position after slip the clutch. And I think the problem with the slip the clutch is there may be a little bit of ambiguity as to whether you're exactly holding hands at that moment in time. So I think that would be perhaps a helpful sort of thing to say, but definitely from a left-hand wave, we should all agree that the word left shouldn't be part of spin the top, probably shouldn't be part of fan the top, or left swing and mix for those people who do that sort of thing. But it's this way of applying the facing couple rule where if the word left is part of the call, then instead of stepping to a right-hand wave, we step to a left-hand wave, and that's part of the preface to the mainstream definitions. Maybe one more comment? Time for that before we wrap things up?
Just a quick semi-unrelated comment. Occasionally when I'm talking with another caller and we've just got nothing to do but challenge each other's minds, I've come up with a bunch of choreographic quizzes. How would you do this? And one of those quizzes is what left-handed call starts with the right hand? Of course, you all know the answers right now. But when you present it that way, it makes people think for a while.
Okay, so it's Tuesday and it's almost 4 o'clock. I'd like to thank my panelists, Bill Harrison, Jeannette Staeuble, and Don Beck. Thank you all for coming to this session, and enjoy the rest of your day. Please remember that there are handouts for Fan the Top and handouts for Dixie Grand. Please. Or no handouts for?